welcome to Come Together Hub podcast. I'm Matta, and this morning I'm here with John and Danny, and we're just going to do a little bit of a recovery discussion. The irony of that is that we couldn't even decide like a topic to talk about, so we're just going to talk about recovery. And I guess I'm going to ask a question to these two about like what recovery means to them. So we'll start with you, Danny. Is that all right? So what?
No worries.
Just tell us a little bit about like your own recovery and what it means to you.
Yeah. So I've been in recovery now for coming up to 11 months.
Well done.
And I took myself into a detox facility at August last year, where I stayed for 3.5 months because I was on a reduction programme. And I came back to St Helens at the end of November last year, and that's when I've really sort of got doing Narcotics Anonymous meetings as much as I can. Got a sponsor, working the steps, and I do service at meetings as well.
So you know when we talk about recovery and people who go to fellowship have that thing of like what you just said then, I go to meetings and I have a sponsor and this, that and the other, but like what does it mean to be in recovery just like when you're just walking down the street, you know what I mean, when you're not at a meeting, when you're not at, you know what I mean, how does your recovery like express itself in your life?
I feel free, to be honest, yeah. Don't get me wrong, sometimes, I can get a little bit sort of, I have to be careful where I go and who I see and stuff like that, but I can walk with my head held high today and not be ducking and diving and worried about who I'm going to bump into and stuff like that, because I've got nothing to hide anymore.
And for normal people that would just seem like normal, but for people like us it's like it's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Massively.
Massively.
What about you, John?
My recovery was massive for me, because I genuinely didn't think I could do it. I didn't think there was a way back. And then once I'd gone into detox and met with people, like-minded people who were either narcotics or alcohol or both, and I knew they were doing it, I knew I could. And then when I left detox, I knew that was the big step for me. But answering your question about just living your normal daily life without being around people who are the same, for me, it was knowing that those people were always there should I need them in recovery, so I could do it with confidence, get out and about and live a normal day. But equally, if I was going to struggle that day or felt that, I knew I could put in a call, arrange for a coffee, come here, CGL, just reach out to different organisations to get the support and help that I felt that I needed. Biggest problem in my recovery, and probably will always be, is when you lapse, or if you lapse. That was always my biggest scare. I'm 14 months down the line, and I think once I had the feeling to lapse, and I thought that, and the reason how I thought that was because I'd been around like-minded people who had relapsed, and sort of questioned what is it that happens when you do relapse, what is the mechanics of it. And I was able, on that particular day that I wanted to relapse, I was able to remember conversations I've had with like-minded people, and I fought it and took the advice.
See, I tend to think that recovery has been great for me. I've had a real good experience being in recovery, but if I'm honest with myself, like I still face like a lot of challenges in recovery. A lot of people don't understand what it's like to be an addict in recovery, and the challenges that you face. Like I have a thinking problem, me. You know what I mean? And like sometimes it can just like attack me, like, and it feels literally like it's attacking me, and I'm like, just fucking leave me alone, like, you know what I mean? And it can come from nowhere. I could be having a great day, you know, like nothing's like touching me, and then like someone can just like look at me in a way, and I think, what was he just looked at me like that? I thought, oh, just say something to him, and it starts like to progress. Then, do you know what I mean? And I think one of the biggest things for me before I come into recovery, that my life was like really, really like isolated. I'd pushed everyone away. I was lonely. I was desperate, and isolation was my life. You know, and coming into recovery and slowly over time, because that's how this happens. It happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, I started to build some connections with people who I learned to be able to rely on, you know, for when that thinking. So I'd start to check my thinking out with people. So like my mates who I speak to who are in recovery, if that thinking starts to attack me, and if I have the courage and the willingness to just like ring someone and just go, this is just what I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Regardless if they give me a solution or not, just me saying what I've been thinking about kind of makes sense of, and I just go, I don't need to give it any more time. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Don't think that makes sense.
Because when
that as well.
I think when you're actually talking about the topic that you're talking about, you are listening to yourself. You know, you then start to process it, what you're saying, as opposed to what anyone's saying back to you.
And I'll give you another example. Like, so I was talking to one of my mates this morning who's having a bit of a difficult time with that stuff, because he's listening to his own thinking a lot. And this was something that was said to me a while ago. It's kind of stuck with me. And it's like, if a friend comes to you with a problem, you would give your friend the best possible advice you could give him, you know what I mean? You wouldn't put him on a bum steer and fucking, you know, like, you'd give him the best possible of advice, you know what I mean? And it's like, we don't tend to turn that on ourselves. You know, so when I've got a problem, the way I talk to myself through that is like really negative, you know what I mean? And I've got to learn how to be more compassionate and caring towards myself, you know, like, and
take some of your own medicine.
Yeah. And there's a saying that, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I think as addicts we tend to self-sabotage, don't we? We rather than just
before anyone else does.
Yeah.
And it talks about that in recovery literature, about that self-sabotaging and like self-limiting belief, you know, like, so if like he was going for a job interview or something, like that constant chatter of like, not going to get it anyway, what's the point in going, blah blah. So it becomes really difficult to like push through that, do you know what I mean? I'm left to my own devices, I might not push through it, but when I've got people around me who are like encouraging and going, just go on, like, I always like that old Dr. Pepper advert, he's like, Dr. Pepper, what's the worst, you know, that one, do you remember it? And it's like, that's, like, you've got to have that kind of thing, and it's like, alright, so what's the worst thing that could happen here? I didn't get it. Well, I've not got it anyway, you know what I mean? So it wouldn't be any worse off.
Catastrophize it, don't we?
Because I heard a comment yesterday, and it was saying, you know, your bad days don't last long, and neither do your good days last long. So, in essence, they are quite the same. You know, they do have a limitation of how long they're going to.
One of my friends said it to me. This was only last week, and I can't remember what. And that's the irony of this shit that goes on in that. Is once it passes, we soon forget it. Yeah. When we're in it, it's like it's never going to pass, and we're always going to be in this. Yeah. And it soon passes, and we soon forget it. And my mate said to me, just dead simply, he went, nothing is permanent. I'm just like,
so right.
Nothing. Yeah. That's a statement, man, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because nothing is permanent. You know, like, but like, yeah. So good chatting to you, lads. Long may this fucking magical journey continue. I say. Do you know what I mean?
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Try again.
Right, thanks for listening. If you can please like, share and subscribe, that would be muchly appreciated. Nice one.